Dear class, now imagine that you are in a 10th century mead hall, my mead hall, and I am the old singer telling you of the terrible, the terrifying Grendel. And he enters my story very early, around line 85 or so, and he enters as follows. Then a powerful demon, a prowler through the dark, nursed a hard grievance. This is a very interesting way to, I think, to define how a villain is. We could compare him to Iago, who certainly nursed a hard grievance. It harrowed him. No, to harrow is to carve up a field with a plough. That's harrowing. It harrowed him to hear the din of the loud banquet every day in the hall, the harp being struck, and the clear song of a skilled poet, telling with mastery of man's beginnings, how the Almighty had made the earth, a gleaming plain girdled with waters. In his splendor he set the sun and the moon to be earth's lamplight, lanterns for men, and filled the broad lap of the world with branches and leaves, and quickened life in every other thing that moved. So times were pleasant for the people there, until finally one, a fiend out of hell, began to work his evil in the world. Grendel was the name of this grim demon, haunting the marches, marauding around the heath and the desolate fens, the empty parts of the landscape. He had dwelt for a time in misery among the banished monsters, Cain's clan, whom the Creator had outlawed and condemned as outcasts. So you can see that the singer, the storyteller, the writer of Beowulf, whoever he was a Christian, or at least familiar with the Christian story, whom the Creator had outlawed and condemned as outcasts. See, this is our story too today, the outcasts finding a leader. For the killing of Abel, the eternal Lord had extracted a price. Cain got no good from committing that murder because the Almighty made him anathema. He was exiled. And out of the curse of this exile there sprang ogres and elves and evil phantoms, and the giants too, who strove with God, time and again, until he gave them their reward, their place, to their dark place to live. So, after nightfall, Grendel set out, as though he were our hero. This is where it starts. Not after nightfall, Beowulf set out, not at all, for the lofty house. See how the ring-danes were settling into it after their drink, and there he came upon a company of them, company of the best, asleep from their feasting, insensible to pain and human sorrow. Suddenly then the god-cursed brute was creating havoc, greedy and grim. He grabbed 30 men from their resting places and rushed to his lair, flushed up and inflamed from the raid, blundering back with the butchered corpses. Then as dawn brightened and the day broke, Grendel's powers of destruction were plain. Their wassail, their feast, was over. Mainly drinking is a wassail. They wept to heaven and mourned under mourning. Their mighty prince, the storied leader, sat stricken and helpless, humiliated by the loss of his guard, bewildered and stunned, staring aghast at the demon's trail in deep distress. He was numb with grief, but got no respite, for one night later, merciless Grendel struck again with more gruesome murders. Malignant by nature, he never showed remorse. It was easy then to meet with a man shifting himself to a safer distance to bed in the bothies, the little cabins around the mead hall. For who could be blind to the evidence of his eyes, the obviousness of that hall watcher's hate? It's very strong, that hall watcher's hate. It's very important. From the shadows, the excluded watch the included, the elites. Whoever escaped kept a weather eye open and moved away, so Grendel ruled in defiance of right, one against all, until the greatest house in the world stood empty, a deserted wallstead. A wallstead being a homestead, one with walls. For 12 winters, seasons of woe, the Lord of the Shieldings suffered under his load of sorrow, and so before long the news was known over the whole world. Sad lays being songs, were sung about the beset king, the vicious raids and ravages of Grendel, his long and unrelenting feud, nothing but war, how he would never parley or make peace with any Dane, nor stop his death-dealing, nor pay the death price. There's always a death price in the sagas. It actually has a word which has a name, which I now forget. It's what you pay for killing somebody. The rest of the family will exact the death price from you, and that's how life and society was organized in what almost by definition are these primitive societies. His long and unrelenting feud, nothing but war. How he would never parley or make peace with any Dane, nor stop his death-dealing, nor pay the death price. No counsellor could ever expect fair reparation from those rabid hands. All were endangered, young and old were hunted down by that dark death shadow, who lurked and swooped in the long nights on the misty moors. Moors, not really a familiar term to Americans, and you come to know it if you, I don't know, you might even hear it in that nice song which mentions the moors at night, where Cathy comes home. It's a little piece of Bronte world, sung by that lovely singer. I remember hearing it in France on the radio, hearing it referred to as cette petite voix adorable. And she does indeed have an adorable voice. I'm sure you know who I mean, who sings of her return to Heathcliff, demanding, a ghost demanding to be let in. Those are moors, where Cathy is. They're moors that the Brontes lived on. Those are the northern moors, the Yorkshire moors. In Britain we have some big moors in the south, Dartmoor, Exmoor, and Bodmin Moor, the one about which I've written a great deal. Bodmin Moor is the home of the quartet of novels that I spent my life writing, 49 years writing. And Bodmin Moor, the least well known, the least sung and celebrated, is still, I think, the most beautiful, the emptiest, the most lonely, the most haunted, the most wonderfully coloured. Not as dramatic as Exmoor or Dartmoor, but I think the spirits that it has gathered in are all the more present. So those are moors, places where which have never been cultivated for one reason or another. Often there are marshlands in moors and there are hills, and it's remained uncultivated and wild, but flat. You hear the wind sighing in the grasses, and that's all you hear. Plus sheep, quite a lot of sheep graze on the southern moors, less so on the northern moors, which are steeper and more desolate. However, the Romans were up there. If you go to the Yorkshire moors, you can follow actual Roman roads, the stones the Romans put down, an extraordinary thing, a chunk of history right beside you. So these are the desolate places where, haunted by Grendel, who is able to pick up people to destroy because they've fled from the wonderful wall-steaded mead hall, and he, in effect, rules the country. And so they have to find somebody to save them. And we hear about this journey, this desperation, by jumping across the sea. When he heard about Grendel, Hygelac Thane was on home ground, his lord, over in Geatland. There was no one else like him alive. In his day he was the mightiest man on earth. Highborn and powerful, he ordered a boat that would ply the waves. He announced his plan to sail the Swan's Road and search out that king, the famous prince who needed defenders. Nobody tried to keep him from going. No elder denied him, dear as he was to them. Instead, they inspected omens and spurred his ambition to go, whilst he moved about like the leader he was, enlisting men, the best he could find. Those of you who've seen The Seven Samurai will remember some of those scenes where Yul-Brynner gathers his men, and we see them perform remarkable feats of destruction themselves, so we see how worthy they are of the role. The best he could find, with 14 others, the warrior boarded the boat, so this is the case of the 14 samurai, as captain, a canny pilot among coast and currents. The leader of the troop unlocked his word hoard. He's been hoarding words for a while. The distinguished one, this is our man, delivered this answer: we belong by birth to the Geat people, and owe allegiance to Lord Hygelac. In my day my father was a famous man, a noble warrior lord named, and I wish now there was an ancient Briton here to help me pronounce this, Ecgtheow, maybe. But it's a wonderful looking name, Ecgtheow, Ecgtheow. He outlasted many a long winter and went on his way. All over the world, men in wise counsel continue to remember him. We come in good faith to find your lord and nation's shield, the son of Halfdane. Give us the right advice and direction. We have arrived here on a great errand to the Lord of the Danes, and I believe, therefore, there shall be nothing hidden or withheld between us. So tell us if what we have heard is true about this threat, whatever it is, this danger abroad in the dark nights, this corpse-maker mongering death in the Scyldings' country. I come to proffer my wholehearted help and counsel. I can show the wise Hrothgar a way to defeat his enemy and find respite, if any repose is to reach him ever. I can calm the turmoil and terror in his mind. Otherwise he must endure woes and live with grief for as long as his hall stands at the horizon on its high ground. So we're invited to picture the tall mead hall on the horizon that is the heart of the Danes' life, their joy, the place to which they repair after the hunt and drink and make merry and sing, and at the window or in the shadows lurks the jealous one who is excluded from the feast. And in our world, the mead hall is on TV and on the internet. It glows with goods that not everyone can buy, and it shines in degrees and status. The whole world of the elites presents itself all the time, every day. A mead hall, a continuous mead hall, shoved into the faces of those who know they will never have access to this mead, the mead of money, the mead of everything that comes, all the goods that come with being a part of the elite. And so Grendel encapsulates the rage of the excluded, cutting a swathe through the lucky men who are the included. And here comes a hero to beat him back. Enjoy, my dears, and we'll be speaking again soon. Take care. Look after yourselves, please.